It's going to go on the ER Shred podcast. It's just going to be a new little series that's going to go up on the podcast along with all of Jesse's calls and Bob's calls, and then our weekly Wednesday night Come Alive call. So I have been racking my brain with Sean, trying to figure out what is something different that I can offer that's can still allow us to continue getting to know each other on a more personal level. So I love what Jesse's doing. He's really allowing others to share their ER Shred story and going way back into their childhood and talking about their childhood trauma and all that kind of stuff. And I love it. And Bob is so great about, diving deep into the business aspect of things and interviewing different people around that. And then our Come Alive calls are so fun because I love to hear everybody's results and with the ER Shred, what number of 11-day shred that they're on and how long they've been on it and what their results are and all the different kinds of things that they've seen using this protocol. And this is going to be something where, I understand that Jesse only has so much time to interview different people, and we have like thousands of people in this group. So I want everybody to get the opportunity to, I kind of want to highlight each of you and just kind of do what I can to highlight those of you who have not yet had a chance to share your story. And it's not going to necessarily be the ER Shred story because that's what Jesse's doing. This is going to be something a little different. And the way it's going to be different is I came up with 5 questions, things that I am most interested in knowing about other people. And don't you think it's such a beautiful thing when you can connect with people who can relate to you in different ways, who you might share similar backgrounds? And I want to dive into these 5 questions with all of you guys. We'll see how long that takes us, but I want to try to do this once a week, but it's going to be more sporadic. It's not going to be a scheduled live call where you guys can join because I know not everybody's available at night, first of all, and also we all have different schedules. So this is not necessarily intended to be a call where people are on live. If you catch it live, that's awesome, but it's going to be on the ER Shred podcast as well as the YouTube channel. So if you happen to catch it live, that's great, but I'm not going to have a set schedule. I'm just going to kind of work around other people's schedules. And that way we might be able to reach some people live who are, have to work at night or different things like that. So we don't have any live calls going during the day. Mine are going to be during the day because that's when the kids are gone. And I've had a hard time making the weekly calls at night because Sean's in here and the kids just always need me or Sean. So since Sean's doing the calls, I'm usually taking care of the kids, taking them places, feeding them dinner, doing homework. You know how it goes. So I've been catching up on all the episodes on the podcast, which has been a lot of fun because I want to stay connected with all of you guys, but missing out on these live calls has made me feel a little disconnected. So as I've been catching up on the calls, I'm feeling connected with all of you again. So this is just yet another way to connect all of us together. And I am going to start by sharing these questions. I'm going to answer them. So that way you can have an idea of what I'm looking for with these 5 questions. First, I want you all, or whoever I'm going to be interviewing, to have a chance. Oh, and by the way, if you do want to be interviewed, I'd love it if you message me and I'll start making a list. But if nobody messages me, I'm going to be messaging you. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you guys in this group, and I'm going to be selecting a new person each week, somebody who I would like to get to know on a deeper level. So the first question is obviously a quick little introduction. I'm hoping to keep this call around 30 minutes as well, but if we go up to an hour, that's fine, but no longer than an hour. Just want to kind of get these things out there. And I also know that we've got a whole host of content available for you guys. So it's not like we are trying to overload or overwhelm you guys with content. It's more of giving you so much variety of content that you can pick and choose the things that resonate most with you. So this is going to be a different little segment of content that if it speaks to you, if this is something that you like, you know, if you really want to get to know others on a more personal level, then this can be something that you can consume. If you're anything like me, you love consuming content, and I've always got like a podcast going, a book, a YouTube video, just constantly listening to things while I'm cleaning the house and folding laundry, doing all that type of stuff. I love to consume content that helps me feel uplifted, motivated, connected to others. I probably spend about 80% of my time, you know, when I'm consuming something, as far as like in my ears or visually, it's usually something that is, you know, related to self-help, personal development, anything that's positive and that can be of use for me. And then of course I love entertainment too. So I do find myself more drawn to listening to things that can help me get in a higher vibration each day. And that's what I hope that these calls can be, something inspiring for all of you guys to listen to on the podcast. So the first question, like I said, is going to be a little introduction, like a quick little introduction, like who are you? Meaning like, well, do you have kids? Are you married? What's your status kind of thing, where you're from. And it's just the introduction is just gonna be simple, because the other questions I want to take a little bit more time for the other questions. But the first question is gonna just give us a quick little idea of what you do with your time each day. And so when I say I'm a mom of 4 kids, then you kind of have an idea of what I do each day. And that way we can find the people who we relate to the most. You know, if we're younger and single, you might want to listen to those more. You might be drawn to that a little bit more. But if you're, you know, older and also single or divorced, you might, you know, really resonate with those types of people. So this will be a way for you guys to really get to know more members of our community and find the people who are in your same season of life, or kind of have a similar background, or you can relate to in some way or another. And then the next question is, so these are things that are really, like I said, things that I would love to know about all of you guys. If I could sit down face to face with one of you at a time, these are the things I would be interested in knowing about you. But it's, you know, it's like something that you dive into when you know somebody a little bit better. So they might be a little bit personal, or like, we're going to jump into these things, but I kind of want to get right into it. So I would like to spend a minute to visualize yourself in 5 years, what you're hoping to manifest within the next 5 years, and be as creative and outrageous as possible, because it doesn't even have to be something that you believe is realistic. I just want to hear, like, if you could have the ideal life in 5 years, tell me a story of what that looks like. And for me, I would say it would be very similar to what it is now. I just hope that things continue to go the way they are now. And for me, I think I would hope to see myself continuing to grow and be kinder to myself, kinder to Sean. I think I'm doing good though. I think he'd say I'm doing a lot better. I've come a long way over the last 17 years that we've been married. We've grown a lot together and learned a lot. And so yeah, where I visualize myself in 5 years is just a better version of who I am today, but just continuing to work on myself and take time for myself and be more present but I want to know like details. When I interview one of you guys, I want to know like, where do you want to live? Like, what does it look like? What's your house going to be like? What's your ideal business, or what would you be spending the majority of your time doing? Those types of things. The next question is going to be like, what are you most passionate about? And the one thing that I love about this community is we are all very much passionate, collectively passionate about our physical and mental health. And that's one thing that I know that we can all relate to. We're all very much passionate about that. And that's why we continue to share this with other people, because it has helped improve our lives so drastically that we love being able to share that. And I know that that's one thing that we can all relate, that we are all very much passionate about ER Shred and living our best lives, mind, body, and soul. But I want to know, like, what else are you passionate about? Do you love art? Do you love music? Do you love animals? I want to talk about that. I want to get to know you in that way. Like, what is it that you love? What, if you had no other responsibilities, what would you be spending your time doing? If you didn't have to go to work every day, if you didn't have to clean your house, like, what would you spend your time doing? Let's talk about that. For me, I would be doing a lot of what I'm already doing, but I would remove the part where I have to clean my house. So if I didn't have to clean my house, I would be doing more of what I already spend my time doing, which is like reading books, writing, learning, discovering, and connecting with people. Number 4, this is going to be fun because I want this call to be all about you. I want to highlight each of you and your accomplishments and the things that you've done in your life. You know, we could talk about one big thing that you've done in your life that you're most proud of, or you can give me a list of 5 things that you're really proud of. And let's take a minute to really shine the light on you. And you're going to brag about yourself for a minute, and that's okay. We want to hear, like, what are you so proud of that you've done? Something that was extremely hard that you did it. And I know for many of you, it can be this 11-day protocol, because initially it can be a little challenging, right? To switch your diet so drastically. But let's talk about, some of the things you've done over the last 10, 20 years. For me, I would say I am, of course, very proud of having my children, but I'm most proud of having 2 of them naturally, because that's something, the reason why I want to highlight these things, because as we bring these things to our attention, once again, it reminds us of what we are capable of to continue reaching those big, really challenging goals that in the beginning you think, I don't know, I don't think I can do that. And then you do it and you're like, whoa, like how empowering is that? So by us bringing that up, not only are we inspiring other people to take on a big challenge, but we're reminding ourselves of how powerful we are and all the things that we've accomplished over our lifetime, the really hard things, it could be even something like overcoming the losing somebody in your life and how challenging that was, and how you didn't go down, and you were able to rise up and overcome that and find joy and peace and happiness once again after losing somebody, tragically, or even going through a divorce. You could be proud of you overcoming that really challenging, difficult time in your life. And so, yeah, for me, I would say it would be having two natural childbirths, because that is something that I've always seen myself growing up as very weak, physically and just emotionally. I'm very sensitive. So if people hit my arm, I'm like, ow, and so I've never really I thought of myself as a wimp, like my whole life. I'm just kind of wimpy, and I get hurt really easy. I'm sensitive. And then for me, the wimp, to do something that painful, I was just like blown away. I'm like, I can be strong. I can be powerful. I can endure pain. So that is something that I'm very proud of, because I didn't believe that I was capable of enduring such pain. And then maybe another thing was writing a book. I'm really proud of that, because that was really hard to do and took a lot of discipline, waking up early. And, my kids were a lot younger when I wrote the book, and I got it published. So that is a big, big accomplishment for me. And to know that I was able to write a book. I also thought of myself, growing up as not very smart. I would look at all the other people in my class and be like, oh, they're just the smart people. And I'm just the one that, always ended up having to go to like the special ed class, because, now looking back, I realize it's because I moved a lot. So we were changing schools like every 6 months, and I didn't have a lot of support at home to help me in school. So I did grow up believing that I was just not very smart, and that I would, so to be able to write a book later in my life, that's really like evidence to me that, okay, I'm smart and I can write, and all these things that I just never believed that I was capable of. So, and then the last question is, this is the one that's most interesting to me, since leaving my lifelong religion over 3 years ago. I always believed my whole life that I had the truth. Like, my beliefs were the absolute truth, and everybody else's beliefs were okay, but like if they knew what I believed, then they would choose my beliefs. And so now I'm just barely, I can kind of look back and, think, oh, how silly it was that I thought that my beliefs were the most important, and that everybody eventually should believe what I believe. And it's my duty to try to get other people to believe what I believe, because if they believed what I believed, they'd be the happiest. And it's really funny, because I was no happier then with those beliefs than any other person that I would come into contact with. But for some reason, it was, ingrained in my mind that I had the truth, and it was also my job to make sure that everybody else had that truth as well. And now, being out of religion, and I am able to kind of step back and look at all the beliefs and religions from a different perspective, instead of being in it and thinking that I had the best way, and looking at all the others as, oh, like kind of pitying them, like if they only knew what I believed, they'd be happier. But now I'm like taking a step back. I can see it all from a different perspective, and now I'm looking at it, all the different beliefs and religions, with pure curiosity, instead of thinking that, okay, well, now it's my time to jump in and try to convince them that they need to believe what I believe. So now I just love to learn, like, what is the purpose of life to you? I love to know what gives people purpose. Why do they think that we're here? And I just want to dive into that with each of you guys. I want to know, what are your beliefs? What do you feel gives you that meaning in your life? What is the purpose of life to you? And how you see this whole universe, how you see God, do you believe in God? That kind of stuff. I want to dive into that, because I think it's all very interesting to hear from everybody's perspective. And one thing, one of my biggest life lessons now, since leaving my religion and opening up my mind to all these other beliefs, which I now find so interesting and beautiful at the same time, to see all the different walks of life and what people believe in and how they find meaning and purpose in their own life. I feel like it's like being open to those things now gives me a much more enriching life, because I get to see, it's almost like I get to step into other people's shoes and try to see the beauty that they see from their perspective, because we all have different perspectives. So sometimes I like to imagine like there's one mountain and I'm on one side and another person's on the other, and we're talking on the phone, and that person's trying to describe the mountain. And on their side, they have lots of rocks and boulders. And on my side, I see a waterfall and all this stuff. And instead of us arguing, being like, hey, we're looking at the same mountain, like there's a waterfall. And it's so obvious to know that when you think of a mountain, of course, there's so many different perspectives of wherever you're standing in the mountain. You know, you could be at the top of the mountain and you're looking down, and so you're describing what you see. And when we listen and just try to visualize what that person sees, it's so incredible to me now to, instead of argue about who's right about describing what the mountain looks like, I now realize like, oh, we're describing the same mountain, but we're just from a different perspective. And we can learn more by being open to those different perspectives. And we can learn to be much more tolerant of how people choose to live their lives, what they see, what they believe, instead of trying to convince others that I'm right and you're wrong. I want to just learn from everybody. I want to see what you see and from your perspective, because I think that way we have a much bigger view of the mountain when we can use other people for that information. Like, tell me what you see. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to dive into those 5 questions. And like I said, if you're interested in being on with me next week, we'll just do a side-by-side Zoom, and then we'll go live on Facebook, but then it will also go on the ER Shred YouTube channel and podcast. Email or message me in Facebook, and I'll start adding people to my list, and I'll work through all of you guys who are willing, because I would love to just have a conversation over coffee. You know, it's funny. I actually quit drinking coffee just about a month ago, even though I love it so much. I'm going to probably try to find some like caffeine-free coffee, because I love the taste of coffee so much. But caffeine was just giving me so much anxiety. And even though I love drinking it every day, it's just like my ritual. I knew it was giving me anxiety, but I just loved the taste and the ritual so much that I couldn't stop myself from doing it until the anxiety got bad enough that I was like, okay, I choose calm and relaxed crystal instead of like feeling constantly like anxious. So I don't drink coffee anymore, but maybe I'll find a good caffeine-free kind. So we'll drink some water or bone broth or some tea, whatever you'd like, and we'll just have a little conversation. We can just pretend like it's me and you sitting down together, and I get to learn about you. So I'm excited, you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.